I will start off reading from the book which I'm writing as we speak, except that I'm here with you now, but when I leave you, I'll be back writing it. And it is a book called Revenge of the She-Punks, to be published next year by the University of Texas Press. We should all live so long. First time I've ever read from it. In fact, if you hopefully eventually get the book, this might not even be in it. That's how fresh this writing is, okay? Burning my hand. Okay. It was barrier busting to be a girl music journalist when I was first published in a British music paper in 1975. Despite the recent advent of feminism, I had no name or framework for the struggles I would go through with certain, maybe even most, of my bloke colleagues in the self-congratulatory boys' town that was rock and roll. Really, I just didn't know any better than to plough on and do what seemed to be the sensiblest thing given my skill set at that particular moment, which was to write about music. At that time, there were at least 5 music weeklies in the UK, and they all paid something, and you did get paid by the word, which, with speed more common than orange juice on the scene, turned out to be quite a handy algorithm. And may I point out to you that at that time, algorithms still meant mathematics. Mm-hmm. Now, oddly or not many other girls seem to have had the same idea of being a rock journalist. And the one female that was on Sounds before me, who hovered between PR and journalism, she was an adherent of the school of outmanning the men that was later popularised by Margaret Thatcher. Rock pretty much trotted along its set course, drunk on its expensive lighting kits and mega stage sets and, Stonehenge speakers. Blokes were getting hard when the volume went up to 11.5. Susie Quattro agreed with the deal, so she got let through. It was enough to be let into the party for her. She wasn't trying to change what was on the record player. My sole cohort really was the wonderful Caroline Coon, already a veteran of the barricades of the 1960s counterculture, having funded Release. But I was blessed to step forward with the sort of girl musicians that had not existed before and who would elevate the form for generations to come, people such as the Slits, the Raincoats, Nena Cherry, the Delta 5, and, ESG in New York and the Bush Tetras. But before these women came forward, where were the women? Simple, before punk stirred, there kind of weren't any. I remember puzzlement was my overriding feeling when I went to review one of my first ever gigs. I pushed my way near to the front of the stage, and I spotted on stage this being in jeans and a guitar, long hair flailing, some of the longest hair I'd ever seen on a musician. As I approached the stage, I realized, goodness gracious me, it's a woman! Yes, my friends, that was really the story. In 74, 75, yeah, I had never before seen a woman rock on stage. So little did I know that I would soon be among them. Yes, it was 1974, in fact, and I was a recent graduate from one of Britain's new plate glass universities where I'd been taught by the noted feminist theorist Germaine Greer, who'd expressed her gender solidarity by lowering my grade according to my moles in the staff room because she disapproved of how much I was partying. But what did she expect? I'd scarcely been allowed out before coming from my Orthodox Holocaust survivory family, so you can say I missed the 60s. I did. Although I did once sit at a table, just like you are now, and sort of as close as this, Mark Bolan walked past. Yeah. And he was wearing a long purple cape. And it was at the Roundhouse, Camden Town. And I was just sitting there like you are now, but that sort of brush with Boland set a level of fandom that was as you can see, still feeds me to this day. As the youngest of three sisters, with a musician father, I was used to arranging all the harmonies as we sang along on long car journeys to the Beatles in our Vauxhall Viva. I was totally programmed for sisterliness. And yes, punk then did come along and gave me community. It created an activist female musical sisterhood. It was different from any 1960s confederacy of females because we were the street-fighting girls. We took it seriously. We had to do what we had to do to take our place in a frequently hostile environment. Some of us were loving our own way, gender-wise, but all of us, whatever our proclivities or tendencies, were taking advantage of that brief window in which punk first flourished. It was post-pill, post-penicillin, and pre-AIDS. So now the actual book is going to be structured around about 60 songs, right? They're going to be essays thematically arranged around these songs. And by the way, if anybody in the audience has any fantastic brainwaves, I am still, I'm pretty well covered for sort of Anglophone girl punks, but I'm still checking out for people from the non-Anglophone world, so feel free to contact me at vivien.goldman@gmail.com if you know, especially from the developing world. Thanks very much. So obviously one of the people who's heavily featured, a group we probably all know and love in this room, the Raincoats. Now one would say, "Way, the Raincoats." Hi, Gina. The Raincoats, yes. And the song that I'm working with from the Raincoats is called No One's Little Girl. I think from the title alone, you can see why I selected it. It's also, musically a fantastic song. So this is from among Gina's words to be included in the book. Why did she write No One's Little Girl? I think it was that up until I came to London, I was always part of a partnership. I had to have a boyfriend. That was the rule. It was very important. It was a message that came from the outside, which I internalized. And then suddenly I realized that maybe I didn't need that. And it felt very liberating. Every time I would have a boyfriend, it seemed that I would always enter their zone. They would not enter mine. And I would lose my girlfriends. And that was always the rhythm. I would just get consumed in their world. The girls always entered the world of their partner rather than the other way round. And so I think that the song No One's Little Girl was a fuck you to all that. Thank you. So now I'm going to move on to something else.